Very good. The first award this year is to David Cook. And then maybe we haven't. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, that's it. Perfect.
What have you done to earn that, though?
Oh, it was a raffle, I think.
Well done, Dave.
Well done. No particular order.
You could have just emailed it.
Nominati.
Can I borrow that? Yes, you and the tax man. Thank you.
The third 2011 one is to Jonathan Harris. Now we have two diplomas to Jonathan Harris this year, but it's actually two separate people. But this is Jonathan Harris for services to gas ballooning, and I believe Clive Bailey is going to collect them for him.
You'll get yours next year. Well done, John.
And then the and June.
Okay, get this year.
3440 and BBNL Jonathan Harris.
Street or 40.
Yeah, no proper photograph, please.
And Chris Wood. Clive Bailey and John Mason.
There were only 5 participants.
Rachel Pointer. Think back.
You see what you do. Chairman saying written large. Yes, you must. If you come here,
If you see the chairman afterwards, we will rectify that.
Yes. Never mind.
Team Sackville.
thing I would like to say, guys, is that thank you very much for recognising, but it is Rob Cross's idea, inspiration that has driven all of us forward. Without your BBAC and their initial money that helped us get going, it wouldn't have existed anywhere near. But again, without you guys turning up, it wouldn't be as good either. So really, congratulations to all of you that turn up and make it so good. All the training and all the effort and everybody that's involved in it, and thank you for the BBAC as well for giving us the chance to get it started. Thank you.
Goes to Alicia and from Leonard.
Don, I think it's worth mentioning that this is the first time it's been won by a woman as well. So,
Yeah, very
We know.
Being our president for the forthcoming year, please indicate what colour? All of the colours. Thank you. As a technicality, anybody who wishes to vote.
I seem to have a kind of privileged position here. I'd like all people to raise their hands who have not been to an AGM in the last 5 years. Right? And, all right, keep your hands up, please. Who have been members for more than 5 years? No. How many of you who just voted? Anyway, very interesting. But the people who haven't been to an AGM before should be warned in advance that actually what happens is me, at the end, and I'm allowed to get up and talk. The last talk I gave to a ballooning group, which you may have heard about, lasted 2 hours. I've no idea how much I had to say about myself. Very interesting. Right. Very interesting. Thank you. Now, this business of people not being members who are pilots is descending very rapidly to the ground and then breaks an awful lot of your bones when you land, at least get away with it. I'm not 100% certain that the Aerostat should or would welcome such a piece, but I do know that it would make riveting reading. And those of us who think we're perhaps descending a little too fast here from time to time might know what it's like to know, because he was a doctor, this particular man, to know which bones are likely to be broken. And he did have many bones broken. And that would be a very powerful piece. And I always like it when I read something bizarre, some book somewhere, and I really enthuse about it. And that person rushes off, makes a note of it, and the author and all that, and goes off to get it. Word of mouth is terrific. So there are these events going on elsewhere, south of Sicily, in the United States, places where you go to, and to have a piece written by somebody there, the man who organised the meeting in some country that you haven't much heard of, it would be very good to have their point of view. And perhaps I should return to Egypt and say, well, it would be fantastic, wouldn't it, if somebody who was high up in Egyptian ballooning, as it were, could write a fairly strident piece about that particular accident, which, alas, we all know about. The papers printed on a kind of balloons do have accident manner, which I don't much like. But there have been these 3, am I right? New Zealand and Turkey and Egypt, and maybe one or other. But we seem to have had a spate of them now that we're having so many people packed into the balloon. And I don't know how the pilots are in charge of those people. Maybe I'm talking to some pilots now. But I remember once after flying in one of those things, it happened to be in Morocco, but afterwards I went up to a very pretty girl who was standing around, and I said, "You just missed an amazing flight that we just had." And she said, "I was on board." And I thought partly he should go to Specsavers, or he's getting a bit old, but it somehow seemed a little bit odd that I, as a passenger there, didn't even know who was on board. So maybe a strong piece about from a pilot who's piloted lots and lots of people in these massive baskets. Just a really hard-hitting piece about what it's like and the problems that are likely to ensue. Do you bother to introduce yourself to everybody, or do you take their money and then, to make the nastiest remark of this sort, manage to get out first? Right, that's just about it. People, no, why has it got that written down here? I don't know. Things can move in a mysterious way. You may not know it, but way back in the very earliest days of the BBAC, we were worried, those of us who were trying to get it going, that it might actually be turned down by the CAA. The CAA, as I see them in a way, rather dread that some other organisation is going to come along, somebody who's found a different way of getting up into the air. And at that time, for instance, balloon jumping was very famous. Oh, yes. And that's you have a hydrogen balloon strapped to your back, and if you've got it just poised about rightly, you can do magnificent jumps for about 100 yards. It's always good. Imagine how that goes down in the CAA. Oh, good Lord, we're going to have a British club for jumping balloons. Well, they get it off the ground. Because the wind can change a little bit, some of these jumps were a little bit longer than people anticipated. They became a free-flying gas balloon, and therefore you've got no valve or anything, no stand, just your shoes to throw out. Anyway, it went down, but they were very depressed at the thought of a balloon club coming along. And I had packed the committee with important names of people who were just big. Sort of the head of ICI, that kind of thing, and your previous president, who was Hilda Lady Brabazon, because it was a good name. And Malcolm, who was an aged Paddy, who has died, and I thought it would be rather good to take one of these people up on a balloon flight, just to show how great it is. And he took up a person who then, those days, was called Roxby Cox. He'd been in every advance of aviation, he'd helped whittle a lot with the jet engines, and he was very keen on going up. And Malcolm, dear Malcolm, flew him into some electricity wires. And amazingly, he wrote an enthusiastic report about ballooning, because neither of them were killed. Didn't catch fire. It's something more appropriate around. And it seemed to be a success. And the Roxby Cox, who then became Lord King Norton. Thank you. Something else. He went around to the one person who'd really been harmed by that encounter with electricity. It was an Italian chicken farmer just up the road. The chickens were all getting cold. And he was very worried about them, but he didn't worry about the balloon at all. He was a proper aviation enthusiast, and it was nice. So anything can come up and hit you round the back of the neck. Such as, the last thing I have to say, is that there are rewards in being president. Apart from the fact that you get up and talk just when people are wanting to get home, after only 48 years, you actually get a free supper. And you can talk for 2 hours. See you all next year, and don't just come because you're worried about where the money is going to come from and will you have to forsake one bottle of wine. Just come. It is more interesting if many of you come, and some of them have been very dull, and it was quite a big show of hands actually for all those people who confessed that they'd never been to one before. So, see you next year, whether you bring your sticks with you or not.